welcome back to my channel. This is Gamer Dom, and this weekend I was up in Nottingham at Warlord's HQ to take part in their bolt action D-Day event, commemorating the 75th anniversary of D-Day. About 30 players, I guess, 15 aside, went up to fight a series of battles on the Sunday, 3 games, which were all themed around D-Day. So the two sides were split into Allied and the German. The German forces, you had 2 options. You could take the beach defenders, which I took. I think I was the only sadist that did that. Or the 1944 Normandy list. I think there was also another list from the tank wars book that could be taken. But anyway, it was mainly those 2 that I saw, or mainly the 1944, if I'm honest, that I saw in attendance. The Allies could take pretty much anything appropriate from 1944 for British, American, I suppose, also Canadians, over the Free French there as well, from what I saw. 1,000 points, 1 platoon, maximum of 18 order dice, and no special characters from memory was what the limitations were. Otherwise, pretty much everything went. But it was the emphasis was on a fun weekend. It wasn't competitive in that sense. And I have to say, I didn't hear any kind of squabbles. It was all done in the best possible taste, as somebody would have said. So anyway, I will bring you some of the pictures from the games. I didn't record. I recorded on the way in. I recorded some of the setup and what have you. So you'll see that in a minute. But I didn't show any of the. I didn't record any of the actual games. I just took photographs. So I'll try and remember what happened in the games. I was cursed somewhat by the twin factor of bad luck and inexperience with fighting British commandos, but more of that in a bit. Anyway, let's see what I saw as I arrived. Turning up at Warlord's HQ, unassuming building. Looks like the right place. So, a pretty impressive looking facility it was too. This is obviously the hall with all the tables set up just before we get underway. I'll take down the tables in a second and show you what they look like. They're pretty good. Some of the tables look good, don't they? I told him that I'm taking my leg with, so can't be asking. This is one, our beach table. Looks like beach landing. Good grief. God. So that must be the beach, and this is the next level back. So presumably they fight their way through. We'll find out in a bit. Nice terrain, huh? Nice looking tables. There we go. It's all the tables.
3 scenarios we're going to play through the day. So we've got all-out fight, hold until the lead, and point defence. You should get a game on each one of those during the day. There is a table downstairs, so Mike can join in as well. So that's table 18. So if you get assigned to play on table 18, that's the one downstairs. The overall commander gets to have these. So in the briefing pack that we sent out, we were informed about there were some special events that you can play during the day. You can only play them once, and once they're played, they're gone. So you've got 7.
For the whole 3 games?
Yeah, but the whole 3 games, those are all you've got for all day.
You could be a right bastard and just give them to yourself.
Yeah, you could keep them all for yourself, or you could use them against a particular player on the other side that you know is a git.
Just use them all against Mike.
Use them all against Mike. Or you can just share the love around. So they all have varying effects, you know, whether or not you're going to put the wounded tiger on there, or you've got the random Luftwaffe field division turning up. But you get to decide what tables they go on.
Tiger. So before we get going into the games, let me just show you my army list for the 3 games. As I said before, I played the 1944 Atlantic War Resistance Nest, which is a somewhat weak list, I think most people would agree. But it was fun, and I've been reading some histories of the German defenders on D-Day, and it was just awesome. Horrifically awesome to listen to the. It was horrifically awesome to hear and read the sort of things that happened to these poor guys on defending on the beaches. You sort of get so caught up, certainly in our sphere of the world, you get caught up in, you know, the heroics of the attackers, but think very little of the poor bastards defending the beaches. Not necessarily always for a good cause, or not really believing in the cause that they were doing, but they were just there because they were forced to. So in honour of that side of the wall, I decided to play this list. So first lieutenant with a man, they both had assault rifles, and then my what do I say about them? Well, the crap troops, the the Shirkers, 2 10-man units of inexperienced Shirkers. Each one had 9 riflemen and 1 LMG and 1 Panzerfaust. But being Shirkers, they automatically are deemed to have 1 pin, even if they haven't got one, and every pin is doubled up. So 2 pins becomes the effect of 4 pins, which is rather nasty. But they are only 65 points, so I guess that's one way of looking at it. Sorry about the ping. Then maxed out the infantry basically on this list. I went for 3 squads of normal Heer Grenadiers. The first 2 were identical, 8 men, NCO and 2 men with assault rifles, 1 LMG, the rest rifles, and 3 Panzerfaust in the first one, 2 Panzerfaust in the second. And then the third platoon or squad is NCO and 2 men with rifles. Assault rifles, 5 men with regular rifles, and 3 Panzerfausts. All regular, 8-man squads. So not exactly punchy, but, you know, compared to the Shirkers, they were my core forces. You can see 130, 125, and 110 points. Whereas you look at the points for the Shirkers, they're only 65. So then the sort of core of the army, if you like, is the medium machine gun teams. I took 3 of those, all veteran, 65 points each. Theory behind them was, as I say, I was reading these histories of defenders, the memoirs of some of the defenders, and what struck me was how efficient the machine gunners were, both the gunners and the machine gunners, and how they tended to fight until they were literally destroyed. And so I thought veteran was a good reflection of that, so that's why I went there. I mean, another basically 15, 30, 45 points by making them veteran I could have spent elsewhere. And actually, as it turned out, they didn't really support me terribly well in all the games, but hey, what is... it's a dice game, it's a variable game, things like that will happen. But 3 of them there, in theory, providing some really good firepower to support those 5 squads up above. Also, did think long and hard. Initially I didn't have a mortar, and then I decided I will take a mortar, because I think just having some kind of HE capability is really, really important. Regular mortar with an observer, I think it's just it's an essential, I think, in my book for the most bolt action armies. So I also had a sniper regular. Again, didn't do a huge amount in this game. In fact, the one game where I really needed them, they were wiped out in the first turn, which was flipping annoying. And the real steal of the round, 37mm anti-tank gun, the Pack 36, taking it as a veteran, only 75 points. What's really good with this, you can spend an extra 15 points, which is what I did, so it was 60 points and then 75 with the extra ammunition. You can have this stale granite ammunition, which if you fire up to 12 inches, I think it is, let me just double check that. It's not 12 inches, it's if you fire up to half range, so 24 inches, you get an additional +2 penetration, making it a +6 penetration weapon. It's +4 anyway, which is okay for that number of points. I thought that was pretty good. It's got a gun shield as well. The only problem is it's not very good at HE firing, because it only has a 1-inch template. But I thought, well, that gives me some sort of distance anti-tank capability in case there was much armour in the games. And originally I'd had a 75mm gun in there, which was better against infantry, but also was very much more expensive. So actually this was a good compromise, and I was pleased I took it. It didn't do a huge amount, but it was useful to have, and if nothing else, it forced people with Bren carriers and so forth to go in other directions, which was very useful. Also, the mandatory motorcycle sidecar with machine gun, regular, 40 points, which is just a steal in this game. It has recce capability. If you saw my video on the competition I did in Reading, I think that was my MVP. But in this game, these games, it didn't really have much of a role to play. But still, more shots for 40 points, I'll take that all day. So that was my army list. Let's go and have a look at the first game. So I was hoping for a nice introduction to the weekend with a nice beach game where I could cut people apart with my machine guns, and instead I got the city map. We had a point defense game, so that's the one where you have 3 objectives that the defender has to hold and suffers a pre-game bombardment. You can see I put one objective in that grey building at the bottom there, just in front of where my mortar is positioned. You can see some of my obstruberans there in the right hand side. There was some more in the building in front of the objective. This is the middle area. You can see my gun down the bottom there. In the building alongside the gun was my sniper, who happened to be taken out by the bombardment. I was fighting British, by the way, in this one. British attack force. There was an objective in the big grey building. You can see I had a squad ready to rush in there. There was also a medium machine gun there, another squad behind it. And my idea was this gun, you can't quite see it on the picture, but it covers the central gun lane, or it stops him running through as quickly as can. You can see the third objective there, just in front of the ruined building on the left, with the medium machine gun in a really nice spot. I like that one. The squad there, I got into a real mess, and I felt I had to have something to protect that machine gun, but I did the stupid thing. That building in front of it, which I was planning to run into, has no windows on the right hand side. You can see in the top there's one of his Free French formations. I did cut that one to pieces. There's another one behind this building. In fact, you can't quite see it, just on the left of this building. This is his side of the table, and you can see he basically massed a big squad backed up with a flamethrower Piet team. The Free French are there just on the edge of the wall, all rushing down into this row of houses, which is in front of the big house where my squad and machine gun were running. And of course it was perfect range. It was about 6 inches apart from the two, and I had absolutely no luck in this game whatsoever. Everything could go wrong went wrong. I lost my sniper at the beginning of the game, which gave him free movement in the middle of the table. He attacked down this left wing, did a really good job. He made it look like he was going for the centre, and actually he was going for the my right wing, so he was heading down to where my Obstruperons were. I had a machine gun and the Obstruperons, if that's what you call them, in that orange roofed building there, and he came piling down the flank. He's the brain carrier. The one closest to me, closest to my building, is actually a flamethrower Wesp. And he burnt the bejesus out of the poor unfortunate militia in that building, and they were destroyed. He also destroyed my HQ section, which was in the objective building, the one with the grey roof, which basically screwed the morale of all my troops. The brain carrier he brought down the other way, I actually miraculously managed to hit it with a Panzerfaust with one of the militia and immobilized it. This is the middle building. You can see he's moved, you can't quite see, but in the buildings there he's got the Piet team, he's got a flamethrower team, he's got an infantry team, and then there's Free French team coming around the outside. All I had in my building was a squad and a medium machine gun. The other machine gun on the left could just about hit, well, could hit quite easily the Free French coming around the corner, but I knew I was in for it here in a big way. And sure enough, he did. He pushed forward. Having knocked out my squad in the red building here, where the objective, or just in front of the objective, and having tied down the other ones with lots of pins, he moved the flamethrower tank round, ran out of fuel, thankfully, and attacked my mortar that was sitting here. I'd used my Panzerfaust by then, so I couldn't do anything with it. I didn't have anything to take him on, so he just had free rein. That infantry squad hopped over the wall, came screaming in, and took the objective on the last turn. And there was very little I could do. I was screwed up by the medium machine guns just didn't perform. The militia, he targeted them. He did exactly the right thing. He knocked out my officers early on, so that ruined their morale, and the sniper being killed by the pre-game bombardment, I never recovered. And I ended up losing in a big way, but never mind, it was a fun game. So game 2, I got my wish, and it was the beach game. This was a meeting engagement. My opponent was a Spanish guy from Leicester who was playing a British commando force. Not many units, very high morale, very good troops. You can see after the initial bombardment, I've got my Obstruperons down here in this corner. The ones on the right are the regular landwehr, and the ones in the building behind the barricades were my Obstruperon. They're backed up by a machine gun, another squad behind them. There's a machine gun in the building in the centre, all of which suffered some kind on the HQs just behind the building as well, giving morale. All suffered a bit of pre-game bombardment, nothing too serious, just pins primarily. But of course, with the Obstruperon, I'm probably saying that all wrong, but if they suffer one pin, it counts as 2, which is a bit of a nightmare. So meeting engagement is basically a kill team game. You have to kill as many as the opposition as you can. I had a squad machine gun ready to run into that building. I lost a crew member on the machine gun by the building, which was slightly annoying. You can see he's got a squad up there on the beach, which I pinned down for pretty much the entire game. Another machine gun on the hill behind barricades. And I was allowed to build barricades with this army, which was great if I was the defender, and for some reason I was termed the defender in this one. And my gun up here, which didn't have great field of vision, which was a bit of a problem later on in the game. You can see here, this was one of the key moments of the game. He rushed forward into that building. I thought, aha, I've got him. I moved my regular squad forward, just outside 6 inches or so, I guessed. In that bunk, in the shell hole is a sniper team, which was quite heavily pinned, so I was quite happy. Thought, great, I can really hit that commando team. However, what I didn't realise is commandos have the ability to charge you, and even if they're beyond 6 inches, they get to fight first. So he charged out and wiped that squad out clean. I moved forward into the centre. There was a secondary objective in all the games. You can see there's a little figure by that plastic bunker on that hill. That was a secondary objective. So for primary was most kills, secondary was to take that. So I thought I'll move a squad forward. He's got a machine gun in that shell hole in the middle there. And I thought, well, I might have a chance to push forward, but just as I did, he went into ambush there, and it was just nothing I could do about it. So at the end of the game, I did manage to take that objective, so that was useful. He brought his Greyhound car in on the extreme flank, tried to shell and fire at the building where my squad and machine gun were now in. had very little impact. It's a small caliber gun, only for machine guns or whatever it is. I think, and actually, I think it had a heavy machine gun on top, but even so, it just couldn't really do very much. So in the end, he got a bit aggressive and pushed it down. But because I placed my gun in the wrong place, I couldn't actually see him. There was a hill in the way, which was a bit of a tactical problem. There's the victorious commandos, and nicely painted figures, I have to say. He pushed forward, charged out the building, and just eliminated my poor old here grenadiers that were in the middle. And I thought it was in such a good position, and from thinking I've got this in the bag, he just completely annihilated and beat me soundly with that unit, which was frustrating, very frustrating, because I had him beat, and that basically gave him one dice. I hadn't even got a dice at that point off him. You can see the Greyhound came screaming down the flank, probably the most sensible thing to do, trying to shoot up my mortar team that's hiding here, which was good of him. Of course, he's wrecky, so I would have to turn my gun to deal with him. You can see here, I mean, it was a bit of a sideshow. I was just worried I didn't want to lose another dice. And if I could get the gun to turn around and fire on him, I had a chance of killing him. You can see here, this is the middle again. He moved that squad forward and brought another. That's the HQ squad he's brought on, which he actually had a captain with. Moved those forward on the beach, moved up into that shell hole, and I just ripped them a new one. That poor squad just got cut to pieces. He couldn't move forward. He did a really good job of saving his squad. So as they got worn down, he'd go to ground, rally them, didn't push forward too aggressively where my numbers would count. And kind of that was the theme of the game. Here you go again. This is my gun has turned round, but I'm not sure whether he did this right. One of the games I turned my gun round, the guy said, "Oh no, you can fire because just count it as a spin round, as a -1 to hit." And this guy said, "No, it counts as a movement," which obviously guns can't move and fire. So in this game, we just played it that way. I don't know whether it's right or wrong, but whatever. It was a gentlemanly game, so a fun game. So I just said, okay, I'll fire next go. And of course, I didn't get the first dice. I didn't get a chance. This is the end of the game. I pushed forward, as I said, just to get the secondary because it was all looking like a complete draw. Indeed, it was a draw, but I thought, well, if I can get the secondary, that's fine. You can see that paratrooper squad in that shell hole has been absolutely pummeled. It was being hit by my medium machine guns, both of them on the left flank, and the squad in the building, and this squad. And even though they were veteran, it really suffered. So that was that. In the middle, I finally got rid of that squad that was in that building. He's moved forward a little. I think that's a Piet team moving up on the outside, if I remember rightly. These are my obstructors who just sort of sat there for the entire game, doing very little, but it was a draw, 1 kill each, and I got the secondary objective. Frustrating because I thought I had him, but he did a really good job of keeping his troops alive, and I just couldn't get the kills. So then we were on to the third game of the weekend. This time we were playing point defence, so I had 2 units that were deployed around the objective being that building right in the centre. I chose to put my obstructor, the shirkers out there, lined on that wall that I put up because I was allowed to as a defender. He only had his infantry initially deployed, vehicles coming on later. He had a British force. I obviously brought all my Germans on as quickly as I possibly could. And it was a really fun game, I have to say. I think his name was Connor, who was actually a Warlord's employee. You can see he pushed a squad into that wood at the top of the table there, which actually had the secondary objective in. My sniper's down here, because he got a bit obsessed trying to kill that. You can see my spotter and one of the machine guns, and then just to put it in perspective, that wall you saw with the shirkers on is just to the right of that hedge, where I had those 2 squads plus my HQ squad. This is the other flank. You can't quite see it in this wood. Now again, my bad luck with my medium machine gun struck again. You can see one of the medium machine guns here. He took a long range shot from that wood right up the top there. Only could hit me with his LMG, whatever the equivalent is. I managed to kill 2 men off that veteran machine gun squad. Really annoying. I also had a squad in there, and it kind of became very clear he just didn't have enough troops to do what he needed to do. He needed to capture the objective. He gave it a go. You can see here he pushed forward manfully with his Piet team,
Was desperate to get a shot into my sniper, and actually did in the end. Move forward as quickly as I could. Could I kill him? Could I? Hell. But the game was all about taking the objective, which was that central building. So I kind of allowed him to get a bit excited about going after the stuff. So you can see I brought my motorcycle sidecars just come on as reinforcements and helped to shoot up. The Obstripper and the Shirkers, let's call them that, were the man of the match in this game, which was just extraordinary, really. He tried to hit them with everything. Every turn they went down, then they rallied, then they went down, then they rallied. And they kept hanging around. He targeted them with his off-board artillery, he targeted them with his mortar, he shot them with everything he possibly could, and they just somehow managed to cling on. And as you see at the end, actually won me the game in the end. He pushed forward. He can see this was one of the many attempts. That's then one unit of them has been cut down to half strength. Managed to pull away from. Basically, his off-board artillery was going to land smack on them, so I had to move them. Managed somehow to move them, even though they were. I think I'd managed to rally them and then survive a turn of shooting, and then managed to move them away to avoid the artillery strike. The other unit was still there to the left of the building. He pushed forward with the squad. That squad that was in the wood there, I just finally managed to eradicate it. I think my one hit of the entire weekend with my mortar landed a shell right in the middle of them, wiped out half the squad, and then I moved an infantry squad up here to the right of the building and shot the rest of them down, and that was the end of them. And really that kind of put paid to his chances in this game, because he said afterwards he was planning to use that unit to push forward, the other unit in the wood to hold the secondary, and the third unit in the middle just basically to keep me pinned down. So he had to move forward with the unit in the middle, which he wasn't planning to do. You can see it here coming forward, trying to get into the building. I pushed my squad into the building because I thought I've got a better chance of defending against him coming in, even though he's veteran, big units, blah, blah, blah. You can see his brain carriers finally came on. They didn't want to play. Brain carriers did not want to play in this game. Not that they were much use to him, because it was more of an infantry battle. But the machine gun support alone might have been more helpful. Here you go. He went straight into the building, supported by his HQ, and managed to win through. But crucially, I killed pretty much half his units. I think he only had 4 men left. That was it in the building. And of course, that was just what I was looking for. And I still had another full here engineer squad. I also had the Shirkers here ready if I wanted to push them in to try and retake the building. And that's what I did. There's another squad moving forward to try and provide support on the right. And that one I was trying to deal with. You can just see in front of the tree is his HQ squad. Bear in mind, I didn't want that to be within 3 inches to allow it to contest the objective, so I had to move forward and try and take him out. So I had a machine gun that you've seen that was a bit worn down, and this squad all firing at that HQ squad, trying to get rid of it before the end of the game, which thankfully I managed to do. Here we go. This is the moment of glory. The Shirkers got up off their arses and charged in on the British paratroopers who were, I think they were paratroopers anyway, British veterans who were in that building, had taken it from me. And wonders of wonders, I managed to win the combat. I think I killed 2 of him. He only killed, I think we had 2 rounds. I think it was 2 all. And then I think I managed to get 2 more, and he only managed to get 1 of me, which was lucky on my part, but he did only hit 4 figures. So, and glory, behold, I managed to take the building back, which meant I was holding it, but he still had his HQ squad on the other side ready to contest it, I guess. You can see my HQ squad is down here, just providing morale support. You can just see the black dice. That is his off-board artillery. He was very unlucky. It just would not land. It kept wandering around the table. It was scary for me because I kept having to move troops to avoid it, but, well, that was fun. He brought his tank on. That took a turn or 2 to come on. Didn't want to come on. There's his Piet man who managed to take out my sniper eventually, supported by the DD tank. Lovely model. Came on down where the dice bag is. You can see he came down that flank. Because I had my gun on the other side, so he was trying to avoid it. My anti-tank gun was on the other side, so he came the other way. And really, that's what the anti-tank gun did all weekend. It just sort of curtained off corridors and stopped people pushing forward. Here we go. This was the moment of victory. His HQ squad is where that red pin marker is. I managed to get enough fire on it to basically take it down, and that was the win because he had nothing left. He only had a mortar who was stuck on the other flank, basically way to the right of that dice bag. He had the other squad that had been pinned down quite heavily, was in the wood holding the secondary objective. Everything else he had was vehicles. I killed the Piat team. There you go, there's the secondary objective. He only had 2 men left by the end of the game there. So that was all that was left of his infantry. I wiped out 2 complete infantry squads, his HQ squad, and his Piat team, and he really had nothing left. I still had one, both the shirkers were still going strong. I think I had 2 of my 3 grenadiers. So it would end up being a win for me, with him holding the secondary. Very good fun game though, really.
So it was a thoroughly enjoyable weekend. Greatly enjoyed it. Thanks to everybody at Warlords for making it happen. And, it was a good weekend. I have to say, I was frustrated by my first game, just because my luck was just diabolical. And, when you're playing okay and just the game continually kicks you, it does sap your morale a little bit, and I think I was guilty of that in the first game. Second game, I was frustrated by the opponent more than anything else because he did the right thing. So kudos to him. He didn't push forward. He kept rallying his troops, and I just couldn't get in on them. So I should have won it. I had him. I don't think he could beat me, but I certainly could have beaten him. But my troops were not really. My army wasn't really designed. It was a beach defender army, right, or Atlantic Nest or whatever. So it was designed to defend, and attacking was not its thing. Third game was a really fun game. Really held up well, and got the win in the end, which was very satisfying to finish the weekend off. But medium machine guns, well, they just let me down constantly all throughout the weekend. When you build your army around 3 medium machine guns and you hope that it's going to provide the punch and it fails, was a little bit frustrating. But hey, that was my decision to take much maligned machine guns, and I probably won't do the same again. I don't know, I might do. It was kind of fun. But a good fun weekend, and I could certainly recommend it to anybody thinking about doing it. People were very friendly, well organised. You knew exactly what you're supposed to be doing. There was a time clock running, so you knew how much time you had left. And some special fun and games for if you got foo bars. They gave out some very fancy shiny dice, order dice, which were really good. I got 2 sets of those. I think I only got 2 foo bars in the course of the weekend. So I got 2 sets of dice. Some people, I think one of the guys from Reading got 6 foo bars over the weekend, so he's probably well equipped with a nice load of new dice. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this quick look at it. Well, probably not that quick in the end, but thanks for bearing with me. I hope you enjoyed the look at this game, or these games. It was a fun weekend, as I say, and I would certainly recommend to anybody thinking about going, go again. Yeah, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hope your games were fun over the weekend and continue to be fun in the next few weeks. And I will see you again soon. This is GamerDom signing out.